For over 2,000 years, the ancient Egyptian civilization thrived, representing one of the longest unbroken stretches of human history. But look at this map of northeastern Africa. The environment here is incredibly harsh, a massive, dry desert receiving practically zero rainfall. The only reason human life could survive here at scale is this narrow green ribbon cutting right through the sand, the Nile River. If you remove that water source, the entire region immediately reverts to a barren, uninhabitable wasteland. The society that emerged here was entirely engineered by its proximity to the water, proving the old historical claim that Egypt truly is the gift of the Nile. Every year, the river flooded its banks. When the waters retreated, they left behind a thick layer of rich, fertile soil. You can see the exact line where the water stops. Lush green palm trees abruptly give way to dead, dry rock. To actually use that fertile soil, farmers had to know exactly when the floods would arrive. A miscalculation meant crops washed away, leading to widespread starvation. To solve this, they tracked the movements of the star Sirius, realizing it appeared on the horizon just before the waters rose. That observation led them to invent the first 365-day solar calendar. Once they had the schedule down, they had to manage the harvest. Carving up plots of land and calculating crop yields required them to develop arithmetic, early decimals, and the foundational rules of geometry. The existential threat of the river's unpredictable cycles forced an entire society to invent new branches of science and mathematics just to stay alive. Because they could finally guarantee a surplus of food, thousands of citizens were freed from daily farming. This allowed people to specialize in new trades. They began producing and trading luxury items like glass and perfume, along with mass quantities of linen, weapons, and wheat. Keeping track of a sprawling, empire-wide economy required extensive record-keeping. They developed a pictorial script, hieroglyphics, where these dense vertical rows of symbols acted as a massive data ledger. Carving those symbols into stone temples isn't great for quick communication, so they stripped the bark from local plants to create papyrus scrolls, giving them a lightweight medium to transport information across the kingdom. Mastering a local river flood caused a chain reaction that ultimately required a highly organized, continent-spanning economic empire to manage it all. This diagram shows how that complex economy forced a strict social order. You have peasants and slaves forming the massive labor base at the bottom, supporting the artisans, merchants, and clergy directly above them. Sitting at the apex of that structure was the pharaoh. The people viewed him as a living god on earth and the direct representative of the sun god, Ra. Because their ruler was divine, and because they watched the river seemingly die and be reborn every single year, the culture became deeply focused on the concept of an eternal afterlife. To secure that afterlife, they believed they had to preserve the physical body. This religious requirement drove them to perfect mummification, resulting in highly detailed medical and anatomical knowledge. The massive accumulation of wealth, scientific knowledge, and manual labor was ultimately directed toward one goal: securing the pharaoh's safe passage to the next world to maintain cosmic order. That intense religious devotion, combined with their advanced geometry, allowed them to construct massive monuments like the pyramids at Giza. The civilization maintained this high level of organization across three distinct golden ages: the Old, Middle, and New Kingdoms, before its power eventually began to wane. After facing invasions from new powers across the Mediterranean, the political dynasty came to a close with its final ruler, Cleopatra, and Egypt was formally absorbed by the Roman Empire. The political empire collapsed, but the foundational human knowledge they generated, the 365-day calendar, early medical practices, and applied geometry, remained intact. By figuring out how to tame a single river in the middle of a harsh desert, they built an engine of civilization so robust that its intellectual discoveries continue to structure our modern world.